We've talked about AI agents, how they're helping with real-time resolution. We've talked about real-time, agent assist. That's also like, making sure the color experience is top-notch. We talked about auto QA, just making sure you have so much visibility. You can flag for early compliance risks, etc. Then we talked about the topic modeling, sentiment analysis. There's another piece to AI too, right? That's summarization. So when you have automated call notes, right, you are freeing up so much time from the time spent on wrapping up a call. And so that just gives more exposure for your agents to either handle more calls, or if they need to be handling complex calls, they spend more time without worrying about, oh, I'm going to be held against a metric on how many calls I have taken during a certain period of time. Because a lot of organizations do measure agent productivity based on the number of calls that they take, right? And what's the handle time on those calls. So a bunch of things where we've seen massive success with customers on just being able to shift what that experience looks like, right? So many traditional broken processes internally, and then now when you're incorporating that AI layer, a lot of the amount of hard work one would have done on manually noting down, auditing these conversations, identifying, hey, like, these are what my top performers are doing, which is helping them land a certain amount of impact. And this is the opportunity delta between my top and bottom performers. Let me, establish that the behaviors that the top performers are showing are exactly what they're influencing my outcome by maybe 1%, 2%. And then if you're able to establish that correlation, let me go and, deploy that across the rest of my agent cohorts, just so I can start tracking if my other agents start performing well on the same behaviors, is their impact also linearly rising, right? So a lot of good success stories, especially around summarization and auto QA. The way I always see is auto QA is a means to an end, right? And the one thing that my team does a lot when we're working with customers is just identifying the questions that these QA forms are, the outcomes that they're mapped to. A lot of times you'll see that all of these auto QA questions are very process and compliance related. When you're using AI, when you're using auto QA, you can do way more than that, right? You can use auto QA to tag other agent attributes, other behaviors, like whether the agent is, showing empathy on a call, whether the agent followed, whole procedure, whether the agent tried to rebuttal to a customer objection. There's so many different things you can track with auto QA, which is still not happening, right? And so mapping your questions to the outcomes that you're trying to drive, not just process and compliance related, more which is going to be generating revenue for your business. AI can help in surfacing all of those insights for you, right? And another use case that it's something that we've been working with a few customers on. That's just helping customers identify if the questions on your QA form are even making any difference to your outcome, right? And even if you have, then can we help, do predictive modeling for you, some regression analysis for you, and help you establish what the weighting for each question needs to be. Maybe you're putting 50% weight on a question, which is barely having 1% impact on your outcome, right? So can we use different models, and can we use all this data and AI to give you an understanding of how you need to structure your process in the first place, right? Can we give you examples of what coaching areas you need to map against? Yeah, you have auto coaching too, right? Auto coaching is such a great example of AI where, instead of, yeah, you definitely need supervisors to come in, identify, what those agent gaps are, make sure that they're having a one-on-one conversation. But again, just like QA, even in the supervisor world, in the coaching world, how many agents do you think one supervisor can take on? How many coaching sessions do you think one supervisor is going to be able to do, to a point where the agent is consistently getting that coaching and you're able to track that effectiveness? I imagine when you incorporate the AI layer into it, at every interaction, the agent themselves are getting fed an input, are getting fed a response on, hey, based on this conversation, like, you could have done XYZ better. So when you see something right after that call, it's fresh in your mind. You're going to incorporate that immediately in the next call. So, that iterative process of just improving on the spot, that makes a world of difference.